Good evening, students. Hope you all are well. Today I am going to start a revision class on the subject compensation management. Let me share the screen related to your content. Just a minute, please. Just a minute. Yes, this is your course subject name compensation management. Okay, and in this subject, we are going to discuss meaning of compensation, performance evaluation, job grading, and job design. In Unit 2, we will discuss theories of compensation, executive compensation, compensation policies, challenges of compensation design, compensation policies in India. Further, components of compensation, incentive wages plans, organizational, in which we will discuss various types of incentive plans, and at last we will discuss wage board and pay commission. So let's start with compensation. Okay, compensation. Employee compensation is a vital part of human resource management. Okay, and compensation means it includes direct cash payments, indirect payments in the form of employee benefits and incentives to motivate employee to strive for higher level of productivity. Okay, compensation is affected by forces as diverse as labor market force factors, collective bargaining, government legislation, and top management's philosophy regarding pay benefits. Employee compensation is classified into two categories. First is base, or it is also known as primary compensation. Next is supplementary compensation. Now, what is base compensation? It refers to basic pay in the form of wages and salaries. It is a fixed and non-incentive payment on the basis of time expended on the job. And the supplementary compensation consists of incentives and variable payments based on either individual output or output of the group as a whole. Now, base compensation involves monetary benefits to employees in the form of wages or salaries. The term wage is used to denote remuneration to workers doing manual or physical work. Wages may be based on the number of units produced or the time spent on the job. But there is a difference between salary and wages. So wages may be based on number of units produced, but salary is always based on time spent on the job. Okay. Now come to supplementary compensation. It is also known as fringe benefits. Supplementary compensation involves fringe benefits offered through several employee services and benefits such as housing, subsidized food, medical aid, crèche, etc. It has been given different titles in industry such as service programs, employee benefits, and non-wage payments. Because of the increasing cost of fringe benefits, some people are also labeled them hidden payroll. The main purpose of supplementary compensation are to attract and maintain efficient human resources with the organization and to motivate the human resources. There are various types of supplementary compensation. According to Edwin B. Filippo, fringe benefits or supplementary compensation may include the following: payment for time not worked, hazard protection, employee services, legal payments. Now we come to perks. It is called perquisites. Several new benefits have been initiated by industrial giants, particularly for the executives. Such benefits are referred to as perquisites or perks. It includes chauffeur-driven car, corporate aircraft, home security, company apartment, club membership, paternity leave, self-defense training, company credit card, entertainment, etc. Now we come to the topic compensation management. What is compensation management? Compensation management is an integral part of the management of the organization. It contributes to the overall success of the organization in several ways. To be effective, the managers must appreciate the value of competitive pay and their human resources. Now come to objectives of compensation management. There are many various types of objectives like acquired qualified personnel, retain present employees, ensure equity, reward desired behaviors, control costs, comply with legal regulations, facilitate understanding, further administrative efficiency. From exam point of view, this topic is very important. Principles of wage and salary administration. Wage administration should be guided by following basic considerations. Wage policies should be carefully developed, having in mind the interests of management, employees, consumers, community. Wage policies should be clearly expressed in writing to ensure uniformity and stability. Wage decisions should be checked against the carefully formulated policies. Management should see to it that the employees know and understand the wage policies. Wage policies should be evaluated from time to time to make certain that they are adequate for current needs. Departmental performance should be checked periodically against the standards set in advance. Job descriptions and performance ratings should be checked periodically to keep them up to date. DS Beach has provided following 7 principles of compensation management. These are: the enterprise should have a clear-cut plan to determine differential pay levels in terms if divergent job requirements involving various skills, effort, responsibility, and working conditions. An attempt should be made to keep the general level of wages and salaries of the enterprise in line with that obtained in the labor market or industry. Adequate care should be taken to distinguish people from the jobs. Although people are paid in terms of rate embodied in specific jobs, some exceptions should be allowed in the cases of professionals and executive personnel by paying them in terms of their abilities and contributions. Irrespective of individual considerations, care should be taken to ensure equal pay for equal work depending upon flexibility of jobs. Next, there should be a plan to adapt an equitable measure for recognizing individual differences in ability and contribution in the form of rate ranges with in grade increment, wage incentive schemes, and a system of job promotion. Next principle is the attempt should be made to provide some procedure for handling wage grievances. This can be effectively embodied in the normal grievance procedure obtained in the enterprise. And last one is adequate care should be taken to inform the employees and the union, if any, about the procedure followed in determining wage rates. So these are the principles of compensation management given by DS Beach. Just a minute, student. Next topic is factors influencing employee remuneration. There are basically 2 factors that influence employee remuneration. These are external factors and internal factors. In external factors, we have labor market, cost of living, labor unions, government legislations, society, and economy. Labor market. Demand and supply of labor influence wage and salary fixation. A low wage may be fixed when the supply of labor exceeds the demand for it, and a high wage will have to be paid when the demand exceeds supply, as in the case of skilled labor. While unskilled labor is available in plenty, there is a shortage of technicians, computer specialists, and professional managers. High remuneration to skilled labor is necessary to attract and retain it. Cost of living. Next factor is cost of living. This criteria matters during periods of rising prices and is forgotten when prices are stable or falling. The justification for cost of living as a criteria for wage fixation is that the real wages of workers should not be allowed to be whittled down by price increases. A rise in the cost of living is sought to be compensated by payment of dearness allowance, basic pay, to remain undisturbed. Many companies include an escalatory clause in their wage agreements in terms of which the dearness allowance increases or decreases depending upon the movement of consumer price index that is known as CPI. Next factor is labor unions. The presence or absence of labor organizations often determine the quantum of wage paid to employee. Employees in non-unionized factories enjoy the freedom to fix wages and salaries as they want. Because of larger scale unemployment, these employers hire workers as little or even less than legal minimum wages. An individual non company may be willing to pay more to its employees if only to discourage them from forming one, but will buckle under the combined pressure from the other organizations. Next factor is union influences on compensation decisions. Unions and labor relations laws also influence pay plan design. Various labor legislations and court decisions legitimized the labor movement. They gave unions legal protection and granted employees the right to organize, to bargain collectively, and to engage in concerted activities for the purpose of collective bargaining or other mutual aid or protection. Next, labor law. In India, we have a plethora of labor laws at the central as well as the state levels. Some of the central laws which have a bearing on employee remuneration are the Payment of Wages Act 1936, the Minimum Wages Act 1948, the Payment of Bonus Act 1965, Equal Remuneration Act 1976, Payment of Gratuity Act 1972, Payment of Wages Act was passed to regulate payment of wages to certain classes of persons employed in the industry. It also seeks to protect workers against irregularities in payment of wages and unauthorized deductions by the employers. The Minimum Wages Act enables the central and the state governments to fix minimum rates of wages payable to employees in stated industries. The Payment of Bonus Act provides for payment of a specified rate of bonus to employees in certain establishments. The Gratuity Acts provide for payment of gratuity to employees after they attain establishments. Superannuation. The Equal Remuneration Act provides for payment of equal remuneration to men and women workers for the same or similar work. Next factor is society. Remuneration paid to employees is reflected in the prices fixed by an organization for its goods and services. The Supreme Court, from its very inception, has had to adjudicate industrial disputes, particularly disputes relating to wages and allied problems of financial concerns to the worker, an ethical and social outlook, liberally interpreting the spirit of the Constitution. In standard vacuum, refixing verses. Its workmen, the apex court observed. Last factor is the economy. The last external factor that has its impact on wage and salary fixation is the state of the economy. While it is possible for some organizations to thrive in a recession, there is no question that the economy doesn't affect remuneration decisions. For example, a depressed economy will probably increase the labor supply. Thus, in return, should serve to lower the going wage rate. In most cases, the cost of living will rise in an expanding economy. Since the cost of living is commonly used as a pay standard, the economy's health exerts a major impact upon pay decisions. Labor unions, the government, and the society are all less likely to press for pay increases in a depressed economy. Now come to the internal factors. In internal factors, we have company's strategy, job evaluation, performance appraisal, and the worker himself or herself. Business strategy or company's strategy. The overall strategy which a company pursues should determine the remuneration to its employees. Where the strategy of the enterprise is to achieve rapid growth, remuneration should be higher than what competitors pay. Next, job evaluation and performance appraisal. Job evaluation helps establish satisfactory wage differentials among jobs. Performance appraisal helps award pay increases to employees who show improved performance. The several employee-related factors interact to determine his or her remuneration. These include performance, seniority, experience, potential, and even sheer luck. Next topic is criteria of effective compensation program. According to John M. The objective of compensation function is to create a system of rewards that is equitable to the employer and the employee alike. He quoted Patton, who has suggested 7 criteria to judge the effectiveness of compensation. These criteria are adequate, equitable, balanced, cost-effective, secure, acceptable to the employee, and last one is incentive providing. Now come to the next topic, that is principles of compensation management. There are various principles which provide the foundation for effective reward management. These principles are as under. One is wage policies are to be carefully developed, having in mind interests of owner or managers, employees, community. Next one is wage policies must be clearly expressed to ensure uniformity and stability. It should not frequently vary. It should be known to all the members of the management team so as to avoid expediency. Next principle is wage decisions should be checked against formulated policies. Next one is it has to be ensured that employees know and understand the wage policies. There should be clearly established procedures for hearing wage complaints. Next one is wage decisions should be checked. Wage policies are to be evaluated periodically to ensure they are adequate for current needs. Some companies have wage and salary committee for establishing wage policies and to recommend changes. Prompt and correct payment of the dues of the employees must be ensured. There should be a definite plan to ensure that difference in pay for jobs are based upon variations in job requirements such as skill, effort, responsibility, working conditions, mental and physical requirements within the organization. Next principle is the general level of wages should be in line with that prevailing in the labor market, that is of competitors in the area and industry. Next one principle is principle of equal pay for equal work is to be followed to avoid inequities. Next, the wage should be adequate to ensure for the worker and his family a reasonable standard of living. Next one, the wage and salary payments should fulfill a wide variety of human needs, including the need for self-actualization. Next, wage and salary level should be adequate to attract, retain, and motivate competent employees to perform their tasks. And last one is wage and salary policy should recognize changes in cost of living and productivity. M. Armstrong lists down the following principles for effective reward management. Align reward strategies with the business strategy. Align reward policies with the culture of the organization. Value employees according to their competence, skills, and contributions. Remember that reward management is about the management of diversity, not the control of uniformity. Ensure that reward processes are transparent and that employees are treated as stockholders. Adopt an integrative approach which ensures that no innovations take place and no practices are changed without considering how they relate to other aspects of human resource management so that they can become mutually supportive. Provide line managers with the authority and skills needed to use rewards to help achieve their goals. Remember that pay delivery process can produce significant performance coverage and motivation. Therefore, develop and apply them accordingly. Remember that reward policies and practices should be driven by the need to reward the right things and to convey the right message about what is important. Next topic is compensation practices. There are basically three main objectives of compensation practices. Excuse me. An organization has to design its compensation system in such ways that it is unable to attain its three main objectives. And these objectives, namely attracting the talent, retaining the talent, and motivating the employees. The various types of pay plans have been shown in this table. These are individuals, group, and organization wide. In individual, we have piece rate, sales commission, bonus, special recognitions, safety awards, and attendance bonuses. In group team, we have wage plans like gains sharing, quality improvement, cost reduction. And in organization wide, we have profit sharing, employee stock options, and deferred compensation. Establishing pay rates. The process of establishing pay rates while ensuring external, internal, and procedural equity consists of 5 steps. These are: conduct a salary survey of what other employers are paying for comparable jobs. Determine the worth of each job in your organization through job evaluation. Determining pay grade, pricing jobs and establishing pay levels. And last one, fine tuning rates of pay. Next is job evaluation. Job evaluation is aimed at determining a job's relative worth. It is a formal and systematic comparison of jobs to determine the worth of one job relative to another and eventually results in a wage or salary hierarchy. The basic principle is this: jobs that require greater qualifications, more responsibilities, and more complex job duties should be paid more highly than jobs with lesser requirements. The basic procedure is to compare the jobs in relation to one another, for example, in terms of required effort, responsibilities, and skills. Next is compensable factors. Some employers develop their own compensable factors. However, most use factors popularized by packaged job evaluation systems or by federal legislation. For example, the Equal Pay Act focuses on 4 compensable factors: skill, efforts, responsibilities, and working conditions. The method popularized by the Hay Consulting firm focuses on 3 factors: know-how, problem solving, and accountability. In 2004, Walmart instituted a new wage structure based on knowledge, problem solving skills, and accountability requirements. Next is determining pay grades. A pay grade comprises jobs of approximately equal difficulty or importance. Where point ranking method of job evaluation is used, the grade consists of jobs falling within a range of points. It is convenient to organize jobs into groups, also called job classes, so that there are limited number of wage rates. Where individual jobs are retained, an organization will have hundred of remuneration rates. Um, for determining pay grades, we have a graph. Okay, you can refer this in exam. Next is pricing jobs and establishing pay levels. In pricing jobs, the job evaluation worth is matched with the labor market worth. In these two activities need to be performed. One is establishing the appropriate pay level for each job, and another is grouping the different levels into pay grades. Next topic is challenges regarding compensation design. There are various challenges while an organization designing a compensation management, and these are to establish a fair and equitable remuneration, to improve public image of the company, to control costs, to attract competent personnel, clarity, to improve union management relation, formulation and implementation of wage policy, flexibility, to retain the present employees in both interests, to improve productivity, salary decision, periodical changes, consistent, and wage and salary plans should simplify and expedite administrative process, and an adequate database and a proper organizational setup should be developed for compensation determination and administration. So this is all about in chapter 1, that is compensation. In this chapter you have learned meaning, factors affecting, principles, challenges, etc. Now I need a break for 5 minutes. Come back to you within 5 minutes. Okay. Thank you. Yes, students, back to you. Next topic is performance appraisal. Okay, just a minute, please. Do you know what is performance appraisal? Have you heard this term? Hmm? Okay, I tell you. Just a minute. Yes. Next topic is performance evaluation. Okay. What is performance evaluation? It is also known as performance appraisal. It is the process of assessing the performance and the process of an employee or of a group of employees on a given job and his potential for future development. According to Daily Order, performance appraisal includes all formal procedures used to evaluate personalities and contributions and potentials of group members in a working organization. It is a continuous process. Okay. Uh, the basic purpose of performance appraisal is to facilitate orderly determination of an employee's worth to the organization he is a part of. As performance appraisal is an important HRM function, it provides important data on the performance of individual employee in relation to the organization. It is considered to be the best development technique in the hands of the organization aimed in improving its employees and their administrative abilities. Okay, next is objectives of performance appraisal. Basically, there are so many objectives of performance appraisal. These are uh, administrative objectives, and in administrative objectives, we have promotions, transfers, wage and salary administration, personnel research, training and development. And in self-improvement objective, we have to bring out the deficiencies and shortcomings of employees and help them work on them. Okay, so in this, we have helps in guiding and correction of employees, identify employee training needs and training programs can be made effective, document criteria used to allocate organizational rewards, form a basis for personnel decisions, salary increases, disciplinary actions, etc. Provide the opportunity for organizational diagnosis and development, facilitate communication between employee and administrator. It also gives feedback to employees to improve their performance. It helps the supervisors to evaluate the performance of employees periodically. It also helps the ability of the staff is recognized and can be awarded, and it provides incentives to the employees to better their performance. Next, performance appraisal process. Performance appraisal process is seen as objective method of judging the relative worth or ability of an individual employee in performing his task. Performance appraisal process starts with establish performance standards. Next, communicate performance expectations to employees. Next, measure actual step performance. Next step, compare actual performance with standards. Next, discuss the appraisal with employees. And last, initiate corrective action if necessary. Okay, so the performance management process starts with the employee planning and ends with an evaluation of employee progress. The process involves the following steps. Establishing performance standards. The appraisal process begins with the setting up of criteria to be used for appraising the performance of employees. In addition, who is to do the appraisal and how frequently appraisal is to be done should also be decided. In fact, Performance standards will depend on the objective of the appraisal, that is, to appraise actual performance on the present job or to judge potential for higher job. Next step is communicating the standards. Whatever the standards has been set by organization is to be communicated to employees. Okay, the performance standards specified in the first step are communicated and explained to the employees so that they come to know what is expected of them. Next, measuring performance. Once the performance standards are specified and accepted, the next stage is the measurement of actual performance. This requires choosing the right technique of measurement, identifying the internal and external factors influencing the performance, and collecting the information on results achieved. Next step is comparing the actual with the standards. Actual performance is compared with the predetermined performance standards. Such comparison will reveal the deviations which may be positive or negative. Positive deviations occur when the actual performance exceeds the standards. On the other hand, excess of standard performance over actual performance represents negative deviation. Discussing the appraisal. The results of the appraisal are communicated to and discussed with the employees. Along with the deviations, the reason behind them are also analyzed and discussed. And last step is taking corrective action. The final step in the appraisal is the initiation of corrective action when necessary. Corrective action can be of two types. One is immediate and deals predominantly with symptoms. The other is basic and delves into causes. Immediate corrective action is often is described as putting out fires, whereas basic corrective actions gets to the source of deviation and seeks to adjust the difference permanently. Okay, you can draw this diagram also in exam. Okay, this is performance appraisal process diagram. Now, come to the methods of performance appraisal. There are various methods of performance appraisal which may be classified into two categories. These are traditional methods and modern methods. In traditional methods, we have attitudes, judgment, versatility, initiative, dependability, leadership, loyalty, quality, knowledge of job. It means evaluation of employees is done on the basis of standards of personal traits or qualities in traditional methods. Okay. And following are the traditional methods of performance appraisal. And this is important for exam point of view also. Okay, students, remember this. These methods comes under traditional methods of performance appraisal. First, confidential report. Next, free form or essay. Next, straight ranking method. Next, paired comparison method. Next, forced distribution method. Next, graphic rating scale, checklist method, critical incidents, group appraisal, and last one is field review. Okay, confidential report. What we do in this method? This is the traditional form of appraisal used in most government organizations. A confidential report is prepared by the employee's immediate superior. It covers the strength and weakness, main achievements and failure, personality and behavior of employees. It is descriptive appraisal used for promotion and transfer of employees. No feedback is provided to the employees being appraised. Therefore, its credibility is very low. The employee who is appraised never knows his weakness and the opportunities available for overcoming them. Next method is free form or essay appraisal. Okay. Probably the simplest method of appraisal is to have the rater write a narrative describing an employee's strengths, weaknesses, past performance, potential, and suggestions for improvement. The essay method of performance appraisal requires the appraiser to prepare a written statement about employees being appraised. The essay describes specific strengths and weaknesses in job performance. Further, the essay may suggest actions the employee might take in order to remedy problem areas identified in the appraisal. For example, the narrative essay may indicate that the incumbent's job description needs revision. Further, additional comments in the essay may pertain to the conditions and circumstances of effective or ineffective employee behavior. The strength of the essay appraisal lies in its simplicity. It requires no complex forms or extensive training to complete, but its weaknesses are many. Because the essays are unstructured, they are likely to vary widely in terms of length and content. This makes it difficult to compare individuals across the organization. And of course, some raters are better writers than others. So, a good or bad evaluation may be determined as much by the rater's writing skill as by the employee's actual level of performance. On the other hand, the essay method is time consuming and more difficult to administer. Next method is a straight ranking method. Ranking is a simple process of placing employees in a rank according to their job performance. It permits comparison of all employees in any single rating group regardless of the type of work. All workers are judged on the same factors and they are rated on the overall basis with reference to their job performance instead of individual assessment of traits. In this way, the best is placed first in the rank and the poorest occupies the last rank. The difficulty of this system is that the rater is asked to consider a whole person. Okay. Next method is paired comparison. It is an improvement over simple ranking. Under this, every employee in a job family is compared with every other employee to determine which is the better worker. The rater is provided with a little booklet containing two names on each page. Obviously, the number of rank order would be n. This n minus 1 upon 2, where n is the total number of persons to be compared. In this way, every employee is compared with the every other employee in the same job family. Next method is graphic rating scale. One of the most popular method it is graphic rating scales can be used to assess factors such as quantity and quality of work, job knowledge, cooperation, loyalty, dependability, attendance, honesty, integrity, attitudes, and initiative. However, this method is most valid when abstract traits like loyalty or integrity are avoided unless they can be defined in more specific behavioral terms. This is an example of rating scale. Okay. These are factors and based on these factors, you have to rate 5 is for excellent and 1 is for poor. Okay. Next method is forced distribution method. Some appraisers suffer from a constant error. That is, they either rate all workers as excellent, average, or poor. They fail to evaluate the poor, average, or excellent employees clearly. This system is devised to force the appraiser to fit the employees being appraised into predetermined ranges of scale. It has an advantage over the paired comparison system in that two or more employees can be given equal ratings. This system is based on the presumption that employees can be divided into 5-point rating scale of outstanding, above average, average, below average, and poor. In this system, the appraiser is asked to distribute the employees into these categories in such a way that about 10% of the men are in group outstanding, 20% above average, 40% average, 20% below average, and 10% poor. Next method is checklist. The checklist is another example of a rating type performance appraisal methodology. This rating method requires the rater to select statement or words that describe the employee's performance or characteristics. In the checklist, the evaluator uses a list of behavioral descriptions and check off those behavior that apply to the employee. The evaluator merely goes down the list and gives yes or no. Following is the example. You can see our supervisor's order usually followed. You have to check yes or no. Okay, so these are checklist question. Once the checklist is complete, the staff personnel department, not the manager doing the checklist, usually evaluates it. Therefore, the rater does not actually evaluate the employee's performance, or she merely records it. An analyst in the personnel department then scores the checklist, often weighing the factors in relationship to their importance. The final evaluation can then be returned to the rating manager for discussion with the subordinate, or some personnel department can provide the feedback to the subordinate. The checklist reduces some bias since the rater and the scorer are different, but the rater can usually pick up the positive and negative implications in each item, so bias can still be introduced. Next method is critical incident method. Using the critical incident method as an appraisal methodology, the rater is required to record statements that describe extremely good or bad employee behavior related to performance. Critical incidents. The recorded incidents include a brief explanation of what happened. Since real incidents are recorded, this method is particularly useful, giving employees job-related feedback. This appraisal focuses the rater's attentions on those critical or key behaviors that make the difference between doing a job effectively and doing it ineffectively. What the appraiser does is write down little anecdotes that describes what the employee did that was especially effective or ineffective. Next is field review method. Under this method, an expert from personnel department interviews the supervisors. The interviewer questions the supervisor about the requirements of his unit and about the performance of each man in his job. Thus, there is form with factors or degrees, but overall ratings are obtained. The workers are classified into three categories as outstanding, satisfactory, and unsatisfactory. He probes to find not only how a man is doing, but also why he does that way and what can be done to improve or develop him. The supervisor is required to give his opinion about progress of his subordinates, the level of the performance of each subordinate's weakness, good points, outstanding ability, promotability, and the possible action in cases requiring further considerations. Next, and the last method of performance appraisal in trading method is group appraisal method. In this method, a group will appraise the performance of employees. The group include immediate boss, supervisor, head of department, manager of personnel department, and other supervisor who is in close contact with employee. These people will determine the standards of performance. The major advantage of this method is that personnel bias can be reduced to a great extent because many people are involved in the appraisal process. Okay, so these are the performance appraisal according to traditional methods. Okay, there are some criticism of traditional methods. Traditional methods are too subjective in nature because all of them are based on personal judgment of the rater. The personal judgment is always subjected to personal bias as well as pressure from certain other areas. So that's why we need of modern methods of performance appraisal. Okay. Just a minute. Yes. Performance appraisal may be defined as a structured formal interaction between a subordinate and supervisor that usually takes the form of a periodic interview in which the work performance of the subordinate is examined and discussed with a view to identifying weaknesses and strengths as well as opportunities for improvement and skills development. Okay, so in modern methods of performance appraisal, basically we have these methods. And first is human resource accounting. Accounting for the human resources deals with the measurements of costs which are associated with recruiting, selecting, training, placing, and developing the employee of an organization. This also involves measuring the present economic value of human resources to an organization. HRA may thus be reckoned as a measurement and reporting of the cost and value of the people as organizational resources. The basic objectives underlying human resource accounting is to facilitate the effective and efficient management of human resources as it would provide the manager with the information needed to acquire, develop, allocate, conserve, utilize, evaluate, and reward human resources. Okay? It is intended primarily to be used as a managerial tool. There are some benefits of human resource accounting, and these are direct recruitment or promotion, transfer versus retention, retrenchment versus retention, utility of cost reduction program in view of its possible impact on human relations, impact of budgetary control on human relations and organizational behavior, new dimension added to capital budgeting process, which includes human resource investment costs and consideration of an adequate return on investment in human assets, and also a more useful interpretation of return on capital employed. Next modern technique of performance appraisal is management by objectives, and you have also read this term in your business management. It was propounded by Peter Drucker. Anna? This approach was further strengthened by Douglas MacGregor. MacGregor was concerned with the fact that most traditional appraisal systems involved rating of traits and personal qualities that he felt were highly unreliable. Besides, the use of such trait ratings produced two main difficulties. The manager was uncomfortable about using them and resisted making appraisals. It had a damaging effect on the motivation and development of the subordinate. The goal setting approach or management by objectives, both are same, is the same as behavioral approach to subordinate appraisal, actually called work planning and review. Okay, case of General Electric Company USA. Under this approach, an employee is not appraised by his recognizable traits, but by his performance with respect to the agreed goals and objectives. Thus, the essential feature of this approach is mutual establishment of job goals. The application of job goal setting approach to performance appraisal involves following steps. The subordinate discusses his job descriptions with his superior, and they agree on the contents of his job and the key results areas. The subordinate prepares a list of reasonable objectives for the coming period of 6 to 12 months. He sits with his superior to discuss these targets and plans, and a final set is worked out. Checkpoints are established for the evaluation of progress, and the ways of measuring progress are selected. The superior and the subordinate meet at the end of the period to discuss the results of the subordinate's effort to meet the targets mutually established. Okay, next, behaviorally anchored rating scale. It is known as BARS, BARS. BARS are designed to identify the critical areas of performance for a job and to describe the more effective and less effective job behavior for getting results. Performance is evaluated by asking the rater to record specific observable job behaviors of an employee and then to compare these observations with a bar. As a result, the supervisor is in a position to compare the employee's actual behavior with the behavior being previously determined to be more effective or less. Using bars, job behaviors from critical incidents, effective and ineffective behaviors are described more objectively. This method employs individuals who are familiar with a particular job to identify its major components. They are asked to rank and validate specific behaviors for each of the components. There are some steps involved in developing bars are as follows. The first step is identification of critical incidents or behaviors. Next is identification of performance dimensions. Next, reclassification of critical behaviors. Next, assigning scale values to the critical behaviors. Next, development of bar instrument. Okay, these are the steps involved in BARS. Next method is assessment center. An assessment center is a special unit created to evaluate the performance of employees and also assess their training and development needs. It is staffed by experienced managers with expertise in performance evaluation. The evaluators observe that employees as they perform jobs. Assessments are done generally to determine employee. The evaluators prepare a summary report and feedback is administered on a face-to-face basis to the employees who ask for it. Some features of the assessment centers like evaluators are drawn from experienced managers with proven ability at different levels of management. The assessment center method uses simulation exercises such as in basket exercise, business games, role-playing incidents, and leaderless group discussion, structured interview, etc. The evaluators appraise all candidates both individually and collectively, and each candidate is given one of the four categories: more than acceptable, acceptable, less than acceptable, and unacceptable. A summary report is prepared by the evaluators and a feedback on a face-to-face basis is administered to the candidates who asked for it. There are some advantages of this technique, and these are: it uses a variety of techniques and standardized ways of interpreting behavior of candidates. It pools judgment of several assessors and thus minimizes the scope of bias. The performance ratings can be used for promotion and career development decisions. The performance ratings can be used in counseling the candidates. Some errors involved in the process of performance appraisal, and these errors like halo error, central tendency, leniency or strictness, recent behavior bias, and some miscellaneous bias. Halo effect. The halo effect is a tendency to rate someone high or low in all categories because he or she is high or low in one or two areas. This type of error occurs when the rater allows one aspect of one's character or performance to influence his entire evaluation. It is the tendency of many raters to let the rating they assign to one characteristic excessively influence their ratings on all subsequent characteristics. Okay, next error is central tendency. The habit of assessing almost everyone as average. A person applying this bias will tend not to rate anyone very high or very low. This error occurs when the rater is in doubt about the subordinates or has inadequate information about them or is giving less attention and effort to the rating process. Next is recency bias. Tendency to assess people based on most recent behavior and ignoring behavior that is older. Some employees, being aware of this tendency, show better results when they feel that they are being observed and the report of their performance is to be compiled soon. Constant error. It includes two types of error: leniency bias and strictness error. Leniency bias. Tendency to rate higher than is warranted, usually accompanied by some rationalization as to why this is appropriate. Lenient or essay raters assign consistently high values or scores to their subordinates. Strict or harsh rates give consistently low ratings. Next is false attribution errors. We have a tendency to attribute success or failure to individual efforts and ability. at least in North America. So when someone does well, we give them credit, and when someone does less well, we suggest it's somehow their fault. While there is some truth in this, the reality is that performance is a function of both the individual and the system he or she works in. Often we misattribute success and failure, the assume they are both under the complete control of the employees. And last one is miscellaneous biases. And in this, there are contrast effect, first impression error, Horn's effect, similar to me effect, negative and positive skew, attribution bias, recency effect, stereotyping. Okay, these are the errors. So I hope performance evaluation topic is almost clear to you. Okay, so come to the next topic, and this is job evaluation. Just a minute, job evaluation. Yes, what is job evaluation? It is an orderly and systematic technique of determining the relative worth of the various jobs within the organization so as to develop an equitable wage and salary structure. Okay, it is a practical technique designed to enable trained and experienced staff to judge the size of one job relative to others. Okay, it is the process of methodically establishing a structure of jobs within an organization based on a systematic consideration of job content and requirements. The purpose of the job structure or hierarchy is to provide a basis for the pay structure. It is concerned with jobs, not people. A job is a grouping of work tasks. It is an arbitrary concept requiring careful definition in the organization. It determines the relative position of the job in the organization hierarchy. It is assumed that as long as job content remains unchanged, it may be performed by individuals of varying ability and proficiency. Okay. Job evaluation is a process of analyzing and describing position, grouping them and determining their relative value by comparing the duties of different positions in terms of their different responsibilities and other requirements. Now, what are the objectives of job evaluation? Objectives are to determine the equitable wage differentials between the different jobs in the organization, to eliminate the wage inequities, to establish a rational basis for incentive, wage structure, and bonus schemes, to develop a consistent wage policy, to provide a framework for periodic review and revision of wage rates, to provide a basis for wage negotiations with trade unions by providing information, to minimize the wage discrimination on the basis of the age, sex, caste, reason, religion, etc. And last one is to enable the management to go and control the payroll costs. Next, principles of job evaluation. There are some principles related to job evaluations, and these are first is all jobs in an organization will be evaluated using an agreed job evaluation scheme. Job evaluators will need to gain a thorough understanding of the job. Job evaluation is concerned with jobs, not people. The job is assessed as if it were being carried out in a fully competent and acceptable manner. Job evaluation is based on judgment as and is not scientific. It is possible to make a judgment about a job's contribution relative to other jobs in an organization. The real test of the evaluation results is their acceptability to all participants. Job evaluation can aid organizational problem solving as it highlights duplication of tasks and gaps between jobs and functions. Clearly defined and identifiable jobs must exist. There are some advantages of job evaluation, and these are: number one, job evaluation is a logical and objective technique of ranking jobs and thereby removing wage inequities. It is helpful in developing an equitable, rational, and consistent wage and salary structure. It helps to improve the industrial relation by reducing employees' doubts and grievances arising out of wages. It helps in fitting new jobs at their appropriate places in the existing wage structure. It provides a clear and objective basis for wage negotiations and collective bargaining. It simplifies wage administration by making wage rates more uniform. It facilitates job redesign and reallocating the easy and difficult tasks equally among different jobs. And it also reveals jobs which requires less of more skilled workers than those already performing these jobs. Okay. Now the next topic is job evaluation process. In job evaluation process, the first step is a study of the jobs in the organization. Through job analysis, information on job content is obtained together with an appreciation of workers' requirement for successful performance of the job. This information is recorded in the precise, consistent language of a job description. The next step is deciding what the organization is paying for. That is, what factors place one job at a higher level in the job hierarchy than another. These compensable factors are the yardsticks used to determine the relative position of jobs. In a sense, choosing compensable factors is the heart of job evaluation. The third step in job evaluation is to select a method of appraising the organization's jobs according to the factors chosen. The method should permit consistent placement of jobs containing more of the factors higher in the job hierarchy than jobs involving lesser amounts. The first step is comparing jobs to develop a job structure. This involves choosing and assigning decision makers, reaching and recording decisions, and setting up of job hierarchy. And the final step is pricing the job structure to arrive at a wage structure. Okay. Now, next, methods of job evaluation, and from exam point of view, this topic is most important. One of the most important topics you have to prepare for your exam. Okay. So there are several methods of job evaluation, but basically these methods can be divided into two parts. First is non-quantitative methods. Second is quantitative methods. In non-quantitative methods, there are basically two methods: ranking or job comparison, and next one is grading or job classification. And in quantitative methods, we have point rating and factor comparison. Okay, so come to the non-quantitative methods, and first method is, in this method, is ranking method. It is the simplest of all methods as it is simple to administer. So there, a committee of several executives is constituted which evaluates the job description and ranks them in order of importance, beginning with the most important job to the least important job in the organization. Okay, so there are several steps in the job ranking method. First is obtain job information. Okay. Next is select and group jobs. Next is select compensable factors. Next, rank jobs. Next, combined ratings. And in combined ratings, we have utilizing job description, paired comparison methods, and ranking along number line. Next, job grading or classification methods. So this method is considered as an improvement over the ranking methods. It involves following steps: establishment of job class or grade, definition of each grade, classification of individual jobs according to how well their characteristics matches with those of the different grade definitions. Okay. The job grading is a simple, widely used methods in which raters categorize the jobs into groups. All the jobs in each group are of roughly the same value. For their purpose, the groups are called classes if they contain similar job or grades, and if they contain jobs that are similar in difficulty but otherwise different. Thus, in the federal government's pay grade system, a press secretary and a fire chief might both be graded GS10. So GS stands for General Schedule. On the other hand, in its job class system, the state of Florida might classify all secretary seconds. Okay. So these are examples. Okay. Next is point method. It is most widely used method. It, along with factor comparison, involves a more detailed quantitative and analytical approach to the measurement of job worth. Under this method, a quantitative evaluation of different jobs in terms of various factors is made. Maximum point values are assigned to each of the job factors required to be considered. Then each job is awarded points for each factors. The level weighs appropriate for each fixed on the basis of total points scored by it. A set of compensable factors are identified for determining the worth of jobs. Typically, the compensable factors include the following categories: skill, responsibilities, effort, working conditions. So these factors can be further defined. In skill, we have experience, education, and ability. And responsibilities, it is fiscal and supervisory. In effort, it is mental, physical. In working conditions, location and hazards, and extremes in environment. So merits and demerits you will read. Next method is factor comparison method. Excuse me. Thomas E. Hinton originated this method. This determines the relative worth of the jobs to be evaluated in relation to the monetary scale. It is often used for evaluating white-collar, professional and managerial positions, although it is equally suitable for grading other jobs as well. A set of compensable factors are identified as determining the worth of jobs. Typically, the number of compensable factors is small. Example, skill, responsibilities, if effort, working conditions. Okay, the process involved in this method is select the factors and define them clearly. Select the key job, which would serve as a standard against which all other jobs are compared. Next, allocate weights for each key job to different factors. Next, develop a job comparison scale and insert key jobs in them. Next, evaluate the job in question factor by factor in relation to key jobs on job comparison scale. And last, design, adjust, and operate the ways structured. There are some merits, demerits, and limitations of job evaluation. You can read yourself. Okay. So we have completed 3 chapters of compensation management. And now we have doubt session. Okay, rest we will do tomorrow. And now I am stop sharing. I'm doing this, and you can write your doubts in chat box. Okay, students, you can write your doubts in chat box. Yes, chat box is ready for you, so you can write your doubts in chat box. I am ready to solve your problem. Yes, any doubt, students? What do you want? Yes, Achit, I can provide you. I can provide you. Okay. And you can search it from. Okay, I'm writing you. Please. और किसी स्टूडेंट का भी कोई डाउट है तो यू कैन आस्क. आप सबके पास ये कंटेंट है, अवेलेबल है पीडीएफ की बुक. हम्म. I have some previous year papers also. Do you want to discuss? If you want, then I can share. Reply me. Yes, any doubt you can ask. Okay, I'm sharing some question papers for you. Just a minute. Yes, this is a question paper for your reference. Yes. First question is, what are the principles of compensation management? I have discussed with you in today's class and describe analytical methods of job evaluation, state their advantages, disadvantages, or suitability. We have also discussed this and the difference between wage and salary. How are wages determined in practice? We have done also this question. Explain Adams' equity theory of motivation. This topic you have done in your 12th standard in business management book. है ना? Adams में Adams 5 theory, motivation theory. Okay. Next, distinguish between performance appraisal and job evaluation. Discuss the benefits of performance appraisal. We have done this. Discuss 3 methods of job redesigning. We have do it tomorrow. And what do you understand by compensation strategy? And what factors affect the formulation of compensation strategy? Critically examine any 2 economic theories of wage determination. This you have read in your economics book, okay, in 12th standard. Explain the reasons for executives being paid heavily. Do it. We will do it tomorrow. What are the challenges faced in designing a compensation program? We have done this. Explain the salient features of Payment of Gratuity Act. We have also done this. Explain the benefits of well-designed incentive pay system. Also discuss their limitations. We will do it tomorrow. Okay. Discuss the balance sheet approach to international compensation. Again, we will do it tomorrow. What are the salient features of profit sharing? What are its benefits? You know it. Write an explanatory notes on employees stock option plan, that is ESOP. Explain the salient features of minimum wage act and bonus act. Tomorrow we will do it. And write short notes on any 3. Employee State Insurance Act, broad banding, fringe benefits, job grading, payroll accounting through computers, and pension fund scheme. So this is all about your question paper of compensation management. Okay, and you can get all your question papers from Google or YouTube. Okay, you can get all detailed information related to this subject on YouTube or Google, or you can also check on SOL websites. Okay, you can get all these on SOL website also. Okay, next question paper I am sharing. Just a minute. I have another question paper. I guess no. Mm, Yes, this is another question paper of your subject. No, no, no. It is also same. Okay, no problem. Any other doubt, students? You can write your doubts in your chat box. I'm sharing PDF of this subject. Okay, just a minute, students. You are asking for PDF now. I'm sharing this. Okay, I will share it tomorrow in tomorrow class. Okay, no need to worry. I will share this PDF in tomorrow class. Okay, Okay, thank you, students. God bless all of you. Take care. Bye. Yes, any doubt? I will share this PDF in tomorrow class. Okay. Okay, thank you, students. God bless all of you. Now you can leave the class.